All right, CW Flash fans, it's time to do a video about everyone's favorite. Okay, maybe not favorite. Iris West. Now, before going into this video, I just want to let you know that I am not an Iris West hater. Now, this video might sound like I am, but it's just that I feel like she really isn't being written well this season. Again, just my own personal opinion, based off the first three episodes of The Flash that we've seen so far this season. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I was not a big fan when I read the I guess you could say the preliminary breakdowns of the first episode when it said that Iris is now the leader of Team Flash. I was just like, okay, I get that they're trying to find. I guess they're finally trying to give Iris some spotlight, some attention. I guess you say a position in Team Flash where she can really be utilized. But nowhere in my mind did I think that, okay, she should be the leader of the team, because when Barry was giving his goodbyes to everybody before going into the Speed Force, which I will admit was a bit rushed during the season 3 finale, but I mean, hey, they went through what they had to go through, where he went around telling everybody like, hey, he's sad to go, but hey, Wally, you're the new Flash. Cisco, lead everybody strong. Harry, do you mind staying here for a little while everybody gets everything together? And, Iris to keep running, and so on and so forth. And I get that she was trying to move on by leading the team, but I really didn't like the idea. However, when I saw the first, like 4 or 5 minutes of the season 4 premiere, where she kind of, figured out Peekaboo's teleportation pattern, and that's how Cisco, Wally, and Joe captured her, I was really impressed. I really was. And then we get back to Star Labs, and the whole, hey, I don't want to bring Barry back and what have you. That I didn't really care for that. Then we move on to episode 2. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but just hear me out. Episode 2, where we have the marriage counseling scene, and understandably, given the fact that I knew something was going to be wrong, because Barry came back really lighthearted as soon as his I guess you could say his Speed Force trance was gone. The fact that he was unaware of what's going on around him. He was speaking in gibberish, writing those symbols, this house is bitching, and then he just acted like, hey, I'm back. I don't remember anything that happened, but I'm back. So I was really like, okay, now I can see why they might have some issues, because looking at the fact that he doesn't remember anything from the time he went into the Speed Force to the present, 6 months has went by. So to him, everything is just fine, but he doesn't realize that the team has changed. Everybody has changed. I mean, they're glad to have him back, but he doesn't seem to kind of, I guess you could say, understand that, hey, I've been gone for 6 months. So these people have missed me. They've cried. They've tried to move on, hold everything together, especially Iris, given the fact that they were supposed to be married. So I really did feel for Iris when she was like, the people, who got these save the dates, like, what I told them, all the stories I had to make up, and they knew I was lying, and I had to deal with that by myself. And I can understand that, because Barry was, I'm not saying Barry was acting like a jerk, because he was trying to do what he could to make things easier for Iris, because he even said like, hey, I picked out the cake, the flowers, this and that. Oh, I thought you would like a fiance that was supposed to help out like this. But just realize that Barry, man, this is a wedding, so I would assume that you two want to do these things together, even though you can finish it in the flash, no pun intended. It's kind of something that you would kind of slow down, take your time, and work your way through it. So I can understand, especially when they're out in the field, when Barry's actions almost result in that guy crashing into the construction site, and then Barry disassembled the entire car, and then he's like, hey, that's my fault, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. So I can understand in those situations why Iris feels like there's a miscommunication, let's go to counseling. However, the one dial, I feel like, and again, I feel like all Flash fans really feel this way. Like in every episode, there's been like one Iris scene that has become a huge meme. And episode 2 is big for number 1. You just left me standing there by myself. And I'm just like, Iris, he left you. Joe, Wally, Cisco, Harry, Julian, they were all there when he had to go into the Speed Force. And it's like Barry said, look, and again, I like that Barry addressed this because this sounds just like how he was before coming out of the Speed Force. If you told me you didn't want me to go, then I knew it would have been even more difficult for me to leave, so I most likely wouldn't do it. But Barry's like, look, I need to pay for my sins for everything that's caused with Flashpoint, so I'm going to go in there and I got to do what I got to do, because I can understand her being upset, but there was a freaking Speed Force storm going on at that moment. It wasn't like they were just in their apartment or in Star Labs just talking, and then the Speed Force opened up, and then it was like, you know, hey, if you don't come in within the next 2 hours, something bad's going to happen. There was an entire Speed Force storm occurring at that very moment. This wasn't something that he could just sit back, think about, discuss it in like 3 or 4 episodes, and then go into the Speed Force. He had to do something now. I mean, there was nothing else that could be done in the moment. So Barry did not leave you alone. He just had to do what he had to do in order to save the city. So that's one thing I didn't like. Not to mention, I don't think that's something that she should have drug him all the way to marriage counseling for, especially because they had a counselor where they really couldn't speak freely due to whole I'm secretly the Flash and we really can't talk to you about this kind of stuff. I feel like that's something that she should have addressed while they were at the apartment or something like that. So that's just my thoughts on the counseling scene. And then the whole "we are the Flash," I get where she's coming from, because there are a lot of scenes from previous seasons, especially in season 3, where Barry flat out said, hey, there is no Flash without Iris West, and the list goes on. Trust me, there are a lot of scenes like that. But just keep in mind that I feel like that, and again, this is just my opinion here, I feel like that dialogue would have been more appropriate if she would have said, you're not just a Flash, everybody involved, me, Joe, Wally, Cisco, Caitlin, because it's Team Flash, and that really harkens back to the whole, hey, you really can't do this alone. When you look at, I believe it was the beginning of season 2, after, you know, Ronnie sacrificed himself when he and Stein diffused his firestorm to stop the black hole leading to Earth 2. I believe it was the anomaly they were talking about, when he went back in time, decided not to save his mom, came back, and the city almost got destroyed. Well, actually, the whole world almost got sucked up into the black hole. I'm thinking that in the beginning of season 2, he kind of disbanded Team Flash. He was doing his own solo thing for a few months, but then Iris, Joe, and everybody was like, look, you know what? We tried to give you your space to kind of heal, grieve, which reminds me of what, you know, Joe was trying to do for Iris, not to mention, well, Supergirl, if you want to go that far. So I get what they mean by Barry is the Flash, but he can't do everything by himself. And this goes to show what happened in the second episode of season 4, where he tried to kind of, I wouldn't say ignore Iris, but it's like, hey, I got this, don't worry about it. And then it almost led to that guy getting in a crash. So if she would have said, like, we are the Flash, not just you, not just me, but everybody involved in Star Labs, I feel like that would have resonated more with the fans. But again, that's just my own opinion there. And then we get to the last episode that we had, Luck Be a Lady, which, personally speaking, that's been my favorite episode of the season thus far. Hopefully the next episode will be even better than the last one. But Luck Be a Lady wasn't a perfect episode, but I felt like it was the best Flash episode this season so far. And we had a scene that was meant for comedic purposes, but in my opinion, I don't think it was that. Okay. Of course, Iris is at the church and Barry showed up because she called him there. So I guess we were all figuring, like, you know, hey, this is a church. We're checking out for the wedding because all the other venues they wanted got destroyed in the fire, got booked or something to that effect. And she was like, no, let's get married right now. He's like, wait, what? And it was all because she felt like, hey, with the lives we live, every time we try to plan to get married, something's going to happen to stop it. I will admit, I can understand her reasoning there, because that's very true, given the fact that I would say he's the Flash, but we're the Flash. So every time they try to have a normal day, there's most likely never going to be a normal day in the lifetime of a superhero and their family. But what I don't like is the fact that Iris is willing to just elope, like on the spot. Hey, we're going to wait for this funeral to, you know, finish up, and then we're going to get married. And I mean, to be fair, she did wait until the funeral was over, but trying to squeeze by the pallbearers right as they're literally taking the body out of the church, going up to the front, flipping the picture of the deceased around, and then asking the asking the I believe was a Catholic priest, if I'm not mistaken, to marry them on the spot. I mean, I'm a Baptist personally, but I'm not sure that's how things would have worked out, like right there on the spot. And you can look at Barry's face like, okay, I can't believe we're doing this. So I really don't like how, I get that it was for comedic purposes, but I really feel like they're misrepresenting Iris as a character because keep in mind, she just wanted to elope. I can understand why, but no friends, no family around that. I really didn't like that aspect of it. And here's my thing on this. Now, you go back to season 3, and the primary reason that Barry proposed to Iris was because in the future where he saw Savitar kill her, she didn't have a ring on her finger. So it's more like, hey, let's just get engaged and get, that way it'll change the future, possibly to save your life. I mean, because Barry does want to spend the rest of his life with Iris, but again, no flash pun intended, but he wanted to kind of speed things up, hopefully to change the future. And then when Wally dropped the ball and told Iris exactly why Barry proposed to her, she got mad and gave the ring back. Now you look at season 4 where Iris wanted to get married right then and there because, hey, every time we plan something, some villain of the week shows up and then ruins our chances. And then we've had everything planned out where I got the wedding dress, but you saw me in it. We had this venue and then a backup venue, but then they both got booked or destroyed. So let's get married right here, right now. And then Barry was kind of like, hesitant, but he went along with it. But then the cinnamon thing happened with the incense. And was it just me or did anybody else find it kind of creepy that the kid that put in the cinnamon incense had like a creepy smile on his face? Like he knew what he was doing. And yeah, I don't know. But looking at those two scenarios, I guess you could say it goes back to the whole, hey, they both had good intentions, but the way they went about it was kind of messed up because, again, Barry just wanted to get engaged to save Iris's life, which, honestly, I'm not saying that's the best idea, but his heart was in the right place. But then for Iris, it's just that, hey, let's just get married right now because something will happen to, prevent us from getting married later. And I don't know. I guess it's making her look like a hypocrite, but that's just my take on it. I really didn't like how it was portrayed that way. So that's just my 2 cents. But overall, I really hope that Iris gets better treatment the rest of this season because, again, I'm not an Iris West hater. I just don't like how she's being portrayed by the writers so far in the series. And I liked it if she was still a reporter because again, even Joe, when you think about it, he flat out says it almost in every episode. And I love how honest he is. He feels like he's one of us. Like if we were in that situation, hey, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but where are all these metas coming from? Or wait, what does that equation mean or whatever? But the thing is, he offers assistance with his profession, which is law enforcement as police. And then you look at Iris, because when she was actually doing her reporter stick in like I wouldn't even say season 3. We only saw her with a reporter equipment like once or twice because her thing season 3 was being the plot device of, hey, Barry needs to stop Savitar from killing Iris. I would have liked it if she was still, a reporter due to the fact that we could have seen her utilize her contacts and whatnot to help out because even though some people might think that's a small contribution, I really do like it because it is a personal Iris West contribution as opposed to her automatically being stuck as, hey, I'm leader of Team Flash. So then when Barry comes out of the Speed Force more powerful than ever, it's a hard power struggle in terms of, hey, I'm the Flash and this is Team Flash, so I just wanted my spot back. So Iris, the person who's been here the shortest amount of time, would you mind backing off? And then it leads to conflict. So with that being said, those are just my 2 cents on Iris West so far during this season of The Flash. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What has been the most cringeworthy Iris West moment? Because again, the memes that have come out from the internet have been too much. They have been too much. So let me know your thoughts. Do you like Iris? Do you think they should be treating her better? Do you think she's justified her actions so far? And please subscribe because trust and believe I have more videos on the way.